everyone, and welcome to Sugar Pine Art Design. I figured today's adventure could bring us to Corriganville Park in Simi Valley, so I invite you to join me. In 1937, Western actor Ray Crash Corrigan purchased this 1,500-acre parcel of land in Simi Valley, California for a whopping price of $11,354. His idea was to turn this land into a movie studio, and he was really quite successful in doing that. In all, probably about 3,500 films and TV series were filmed here. This ranged from The Lone Ranger to Star Trek, and actors such as John Wayne, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers were all involved in filming whatever films they wanted here. So Corriganville was comprised of different movie sets, and one of the most well-known movie sets was Silvertown. And Silvertown was a Western-style main street, and didn't really have facades. Rather, it had actual buildings that could be fully functioning. This particular shot is of what remains of barn number 2. In building Corriganville, Crash Corrigan used virtually every square inch of that 1,500 acres. He would use the rock formations as different sets. He used the oak grove as Robin Hood Forest, and he even built a man-made lake called Robin Hood Lake. In 1949, Crash Corrigan realized that Corriganville was only being used Monday through Friday for filming, so he decided to open up Corriganville as an amusement park for families on the weekend. You could stop by and see a stunt show, you could do a stagecoach ride, you could see a rodeo, you could rent a boat and go around Robin Hood Lake. Some of the actors that were filming at the time would stop by and do autographs. Unfortunately, Silvertown was destroyed by a wildfire in 1970. There were a few structures that did remain after that 1970 wildfire, but those were then destroyed in a 1979 wildfire that went through this very area. This picture was taken of Silvertown in 1964. In the foreground is Crash Corrigan, and in the background, in the very middle, is barn number 2. And if you look at the rocks in the back, that is actually Gorilla Rock. This is a picture taken today of that same area where you can see the rock foundation of barn number 2 in the background, and you can see Gorilla Rock in the far background. In 1947, Crash Corrigan built a movie set right here that was for the 1947 John Ford production of Fort Apache, which starred John Wayne and Henry Fonda. Unfortunately, this is all that is left of the Fort Apache film set. Through the magic of camera angles and set designs, many of the rock formations in Corriganville were made to look like caves. This particular one was Trailblazer Cave, and they used timber, plaster, and cement to make it look like a cave entrance. Here's a shot of that same area today. Without the timber, the plaster, the cement, or the magic of my camera, you can certainly tell that it is not a cave. Here is Canyon Rock, or also known as Hideout Rock. They would use that space between the rock and the tree to make into an entrance to a valley. And now we've arrived at Robin Hood Lake. This is a bridge that goes over the lake, and if you look to the right of the bridge, you'll notice that there are some planks that go across, and that was for a bunker that went underneath the lake so that they could get some shots underneath the water. This is the opposite end of Robin Hood Lake, and you can see the 2 pylons that bracket either side of the lake, and that used to have a bridge that went across it. Here's a photo of what the bridge used to look like. It was called Susanna Pass Bridge, and from here you could also see what the lake looked like. Here is that same bridge, or lack thereof, from the same camera angle. From here you can also see just how much that tree has grown. This was stunt rock on the banks of Robin Hood Lake. It was used during the Jungle Jim films, and Jungle Jim himself would dive off this rock into the lake. And in this old photo, you can actually see Jungle Jim diving into the lake. Here is a photo of stunt rock today. You can see that they added in the fence that goes around the edge of the rock, and unfortunately there has been some graffiti. For the Jungle Gym movies, they wanted to catch footage of Jungle Gym underneath the water, but in the 40s they didn't really have camera equipment that could be taken underwater. So what they did is built a bunker that they could lower the cameraman and camera down into so that they could get that footage that they wanted. I wanted to get a good shot inside the bunker, but between the lighting and the flash, it just wasn't coming out. But I can say I would not have been a particular fan of being inside there recording on a daily basis. Right next to Robin Hood Lake is Robin Hood Forest, also known as Sherwood Forest. And I know you can imagine that there were some Robin Hood films that were filmed in this area. But really, it is a beautiful area. If you ever wanted to go into there and just bring a picnic lunch, it's fantastic. You only have to go about 100 yards from the parking lot to get in there, and you're just in this oak grove eating your lunch. This remnants of a structure is in the Robin Hood Forest, and I've tried to research it to find out what was here before, but I've had no luck so far. So if anybody knows what this was, please write it in the comments below, because I would certainly love to know. In 1904, the Southern Pacific Rail Line created a 1.5-mile tunnel through the hills connecting Simi Valley to Chatsworth. And by digging out the tunnel, they created this berm along the southern edge of Robin Hood Forest. And a lot of the rail workers actually camped out in Robin Hood Forest. You can even still find Chinese pottery in the area. When you take some of the hiking trails up the hills, you can get some gorgeous views over Simi Valley. And this particular view is over a set of homes called Hopetown. And Hopetown now occupies what the parking lot was for Corriganville. Here's another shot over the northwest side of Simi Valley. One of the interesting things about this area is that it used to actually be under the ocean. The rocks here are sandstone, which are created when sand gets compressed under the pressure of ocean water. And over time, lower sea levels and continental movement have given rise to these rocks. And if you look at the picture, you kind of notice the diagonal angle of some of these rocks, which is due to continental movement. This area is prone to earthquake activity. In 1994, the Northridge earthquake hit just mere miles from this area. By the 1960s, Corriganville was suffering from some pretty rough times. Amusement park goers were more apt to go to places like Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm than they were to Corriganville. So in 1963, Crash Corrigan sold Corriganville for $1.8 million. In 1965, Bob Hope purchased Corriganville and changed the name to Hopetown. It was pretty much the same type of place, but Hopetown only lasted a year before it finally closed its doors. In the late 60s and early 70s, Corriganville was used for motorcycle racing. But in 1988, the city of Simi Valley purchased 246 acres of Corriganville, which included the site for Silvertown, and turned it into a park. And in 1995, it was designated as a historical landmark. so much for joining me on my adventure through Corriganville. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.